This is the core question of our quiz, VOMC. It's asking us to identify the specific tasks that the Sklearn utils module in the scikit-learn library can perform. Think of Sklearn utils as a toolbox of handy functions that help prepare your data before you start the actual machine learning work. This option refers to the ability to randomly rearrange your data, shuffling, and divide it into separate sets for training and testing a machine learning model. Splitting, this is a crucial step in machine learning. And it's something Sklearn utils can definitely help with. Data validation is all about making sure your input data is in the correct format and that the values make sense before you start your machine learning process. Think of it as a quality check to prevent errors later on. Sklearn utils includes functions for this vital task, VOMC. This isn't actually something Sklearn utils directly handles. These are more advanced tasks related to improving the performance of your machine learning models and are usually addressed by other modules within scikit-learn. Sometimes, your data might be in a format that's not ideal for your machine learning algorithm. Sklearn utils gives you tools to switch between different representations. For instance, converting sparse matrices to dense arrays, or vice versa. This makes working with different data types much easier. Okay, so this part talks about how the Sklearn utils module helps to make sure your data is all good to go before you use it in a machine learning model. Think of it as a data health check. It checks things like if your data is the right type, like numbers or text, if it's the correct shape, the dimensions of your data array, and so on. It uses functions like check _array and check _x_y to do this. This is super important because if your data is messy, your model won't work properly. Imagine trying to bake a cake with the wrong ingredients. Let's see what other checks are involved. This is all about preparing your data for training a machine learning model. You need to split your data into training and testing sets. The Sklearn utils module provides efficient ways to do this. It includes functions like train _test _split and shuffle which randomly shuffle your data or help you split it into different sets. This ensures that your model is trained on a representative sample and tested on unseen data. It's like shuffling a deck of cards before dealing. You want to make sure each player gets a fair hand. Sometimes your data might not be in the format that scikit-learn expects. This section describes how Sklearn utils helps convert your data into a format that scikit-learn algorithms can work with. For instance, it might convert sparse matrices where most entries are 0, into dense arrays, matrices where all entries are explicitly stored. Functions like as _float _array and sparse to dense help with these conversions, making your data ready for use within the scikit-learn ecosystem. It's like converting a recipe from metric units to imperial units, making it usable with your tools. This is the question that needs to be answered. It asks, which statements correctly describe the functions of the Sklearn utils module in scikit-learn? We need to carefully analyze each option provided to determine its accuracy. This sets the stage for the quiz question by introducing Sklearn utils and explicitly asking for the functionalities of this module. The question specifically asks for the correct functionalities, which implies that some of the given options will be incorrect. Let's analyze the options that follow. This option checks if Sklearn utils provides functions for data validation. It's a key aspect of data preprocessing. We need to recall if Sklearn utils actually includes functions for checking data types and shapes before using the data. Does it? This option asks if Sklearn utils handles advanced model optimization and hyperparameter tuning. This is a higher-level task, usually handled by other scikit-learn modules. We need to determine if this is something that Sklearn utils is designed to do, or if it's the role of a different module. This option assesses the conversion capabilities of Sklearn utils It looks at whether the module allows changing between different data structures, like converting between sparse and dense matrices. Data format conversion is vital in many machine learning processes. We need to check if Sklearn utils supports such conversions. Hey Vamsi, the Sklearn utils module in Sklearn is like a toolbox filled with handy helper functions. It doesn't do the main machine learning work, but it makes everything else much easier and more efficient. Think of it as the prep chef in a restaurant kitchen. It preps the ingredients, data, so the main chef, your machine learning algorithm, can focus on cooking up amazing dishes, models. This part of the toolbox helps you efficiently shuffle and split your data. Imagine you have a deck of cards, your dataset. You need to shuffle it randomly to make sure your model doesn't learn any biases from the order. Then you need to split it into separate piles for training and testing your model. This is exactly what these functions do. Before you start cooking, you need to make sure your ingredients are fresh and of the right type, right? This is what the validation tools in Sklearn utils do. They check your data to ensure it's in the correct format, has the right types and shapes for the machine learning algorithm to process it smoothly. It's like double-checking your recipe before you begin. Sometimes your data comes in different forms. Imagine getting a recipe written in a foreign language. You need a translator. Similarly, Sklearn utils has tools for converting data between formats, like sparse matrices. Think of a matrix with lots of zeros, and dense arrays. Matrices with mostly non-zero values. These conversions are crucial for making your data compatible with various algorithms. Finally, Sklearn utils provides a bunch of other helper functions that aid in numerous data preprocessing and handling tasks. Think of them as those extra kitchen gadgets that simplify your workflow. They might not be essential for cooking, but they make things a lot faster and more convenient. This refers to the overall topic of the quiz: understanding the functionalities within Sklearn's utils module. It's like looking under the hood of a car to see all the little parts that make it run, instead of just driving it. We're trying to figure out what specific jobs these helper functions do. This refers to the overall topic of the quiz: understanding the functionalities within Sklearn's utils module. It's like looking under the hood of a car to see all the little parts that make it run, instead of just driving it. We're trying to figure out what specific jobs these helper functions do. This option tests your knowledge of whether the Sklearn utils module helps in preparing data for machine learning. Think of shuffling a deck of cards. Sklearn uses utils for efficiently arranging and dividing data into training and testing sets. Essential steps before training a model. The functions train _test _split and shuffle are examples. Part of the model _selection module, but they rely on the underlying functionality within utils. This option tests your knowledge of whether the Sklearn utils module helps in preparing data for machine learning. Think of shuffling a deck of cards. Sklearn uses utils for efficiently arranging and dividing data into training and testing sets. Essential steps before training a model. The functions train _test _split and shuffle are examples. Part of the model _selection module, but they rely on the underlying functionality within utils. This checks if you know if the Sklearn utils module helps ensure your data is correctly formatted. It's like a quality control check for your data before feeding it into a machine learning model. Functions like check _array and check _x _y validate data types and shapes, ensuring your data plays nicely with Sklearn algorithms. This checks if you know if the Sklearn utils module helps ensure your data is correctly formatted. It's like a quality control check for your data before feeding it into a machine learning model. Functions like check _array and check _x _y validate data types and shapes, ensuring your data plays nicely with Sklearn algorithms. This assesses your understanding of whether the Sklearn utils module can handle changes in data structure. Think of converting between different file formats, like a translator for your data. The module helps convert data between different representations, e.g., as underscore sparse converts to a sparse matrix, and array 2D creates a 2D array, helping you work smoothly with different algorithms and libraries. This assesses your understanding of whether the Sklearn utils module can handle changes in data structure. Think of converting between different file formats, like a translator for your data. The module helps convert data between different representations, e.g., as underscore sparse converts to a sparse matrix, and array 2D creates a 2D array, helping you work smoothly with different algorithms and libraries. This is a multiple-choice question testing your knowledge of the scikit-learn library's Sklearn utils module. The question asks you to identify which functionalities are available within that specific module. To answer correctly, you need to recall the purpose of Sklearn utils and the common tasks performed by its helper functions. Are you ready to dive in? This option refers to the ability of Sklearn utils to shuffle and split data. This is a crucial step in machine learning where the dataset is randomly divided into training and testing sets to evaluate model performance. Think of it like dealing cards for a game. You need to shuffle them, randomize data, and then split them into hands, training, testing sets. Is this functionality within Sklearn utils or not? Here, we're talking about the ability to check if your data is in the correct format. Before you use your data to train a model, Sklearn utils can check if the data types are appropriate and if data has the correct dimensions or shapes. Think of it like checking the ingredients before baking a cake. You want to make sure you have the right ingredients and amounts. Does Sklearn utils include data validation? This option focuses on advanced techniques used to improve the performance of a machine learning model. This generally involves things like hyperparameter tuning, which isn't directly handled by Sklearn utils. This is a higher-level task that usually involves other scikit-learn modules. It's like having the recipe for a cake, but you also need tools and techniques to bake the perfect cake. Does this sound like something Sklearn utils does directly? This refers to the conversion between various data formats. Sklearn utils can help convert data between different representations like sparse and dense matrices. Think of it like converting a recipe from cups to grams. You need to translate it into a form usable by your oven, your algorithm. This feature is useful for data flexibility. Does Sklearn utils offer this convenience?